Good morning, everyone. My topic is on circuit rupture. Next slide. So, circuit rupture is any breach that occur on the circuit that can result in blood loss or air entrainment. Next slide. So, circuit rupture, it depends where it occurs. This can occur in the pre-pump or post-pump region. So in the pre-pump region, there's negative pressure on that region. And then on the post-pump region, there's positive pressure. Of which on the pre-pump region, this can, you can have air entrainment in the system. If you can look at the system here, you see there's a pump head here. So in this region, this would be your pre-pump region, which is there's negative pressure. If there's any breach here, you're going to have air entrainment. And then if you look at your post-pump region, of which is this region, where if there's any breach there, which is a positive, there's positive pressure there, of which can lead to rapid blood loss in that region. Next slide. So now, what do you do in these situations where you have this breach? So I'm going to focus, if you look at this picture there, you see on the pre-pump region there's negative pressure. If you see there's a breach there, that will cause your air entrainment that will enter the system. And then that's your post-pump region. You see there's positive pressure. That will make the system, you lose blood on the system. If you go to the previous slide. Okay, next slide. And then the other slide. So now what do you do in these situations when this happens? So this is recommended by the Alfred ICU ECMO guidelines. So what I'm going to show you on the systems here, on the pre-pump head region, if you guys go back to the slide, you see you can clamp the circuits. Mr. Fulton alluded to it that you're going to clamp your tubing. So you clamp your venous side of the tubing, and then you clamp your arterial side of the tubing, of which you're going to stop the pump. And then what you're going to do is you're going to call for help and see where's the breach. If the breach is on the, maybe if you look at this overlung system, the caps are open. So that is easy. You can just close the caps. If the breach is here where there's a lower lock on the system, that's a bit difficult, of which you're going to have to try maybe fix it or change the circuit itself. Going back to the slide. And then after you've called for help, once is that you try to sort out the issue there, what you're going to do is you're going to call somebody where you're going to review the patient if the patient is still okay. If the patient is on VV ECMO, what you do is you're going to adjust the ventilation settings, of which you want to have adequate oxygenation and ventilation for the patient on VV ECMO. If the patient is on VA ECMO, that's where you're going to support the patient's circulation by using inotropes and the ACLS protocols, as Mr. Fulton has alluded to. Next slide. And then you're going to manage the patient if there's embolism in the system. And then if it's a breach that you can't fix, it's either you're gonna change the circuit itself, or if it's a breach that you can fix, and then you can de-air the oxygenator, that's gonna take time, but it's better, I would say, you change the oxygenator completely. Next slide. Now, if the circuit rupture is post-pump, what you're gonna do? As I've alluded before, if it's an open tap, that can be fixable. You can sort it out immediately and close the tap. Same thing if the breach is uncontrollable, then you call for help, and then you review the patient, same what you did pre-pump. So going back to the slide. Now, if it's, the bleeding is not controlled, as I've said before, you clamp the circuit, you clamp the arterial side of the circuit and the venous side of the circuit, you stop the pump. And then you're going to decide what you're going to do. You're going to call for help, or you're going to call the perfusionist, you're going to call the ICU consultant, or you're going to call the ECMO coordinators, of which is Susan and Kate. And then if the patient is on VV ECMO, it's the same as before. You're going to adjust to mechanical ventilation settings where you want to have adequate oxygenation and ventilation. Next slide. So the same as pre-pump with VA ECMO, you're going to support the patient's circulation by using inotropes and other ACLS protocols. And then if the breach is possible, as I've shown on the circuit there, then you can, that's okay. You can put the patient back on ECMO. If you see between these two effects, which is pre-pump and post-pump, if you look at VV ECMO, ventilatory support is a priority, whereas in VA ECMO, you need circulatory support. As I've said, you need inotropes for the patient to be okay. Next slide. Then now, what are the causes of this breach to occur on the system? It's either improperly secured tubing, where you find the surgeon will just, when they're cannulating and they're connecting the arterial line to the cannula, and then they don't push the tubing right in the connector. It's just sitting, and then you can have that separation where you have a breach. So that's why it's important when you connect the cannula to the circuit itself, you put cable ties. And then if it's broken taps, that could be the cause as well. It's either it's just an open tap that you can close, or sometimes if you look at these oxygenators, as much as you look at them, you see, okay, they're fine. If you handle them roughly, you can break these connectors, of which you can cause a breach. Going back to the slide. That point, the power bed inlet and the oxygenator inlet or the outlet are susceptible to a breakage by external force, of what I've just said now. And then there's accidental puncturing or cutting of the ECMO circuit. So in ICU, the patient, sometimes you're going to use needles, you're going to use blades. So you must be very careful using those things close to the circuit, because you can puncture the tubing, you can cut the tubing. Next slide. So now what do you do to prevent these effects to occur. So you can, you must make sure that alcohol or organic solvents don't come into contact with the tubing. I'm going to go back when I was a student training for perfusion. One of my teachers used to say, if you're going to put isoflurane on the system, you must have a green towel and close, sort of cover the tubing. So if there's any leak, it's going to drop to the green towels. So you protect it. It doesn't eat at the tubing. And then second point, in ICU, when the sisters are busy trying to turn the patient, or maybe they want to move the patient to maybe to CT scan or wherever, it's important to have a person that's going to be a spotter. That person is going to see what's happening on the circuit. If there's let's say a tap opens, that person can sort it out immediately. Or any breach whatsoever, that person can be responsible for that. And then needles and instrument. It's important when in ICU, if there's an ECMO system there, to handle those things with care, because they can rupture the system. Next slide. So in conclusions, these presentations and all what we're doing here, they're very important for the general staff, for all of us, because we're going to learn from them, and it's going to help the staff to how to react in these situations.